Hey there, and welcome. Let's talk about something that's a massive deal in today's economy: going global. I mean, think about it. Pretty much every big company you know operates way beyond its home country. But how? How do they actually pull that off? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down. Just take a second and think about your favorite brands. It's kind of wild, right? A lot of them probably started out super small in just one country. So, what's the secret sauce? What does it actually take to make that leap from being a local hero to a worldwide household name? That's the big question we're tackling. Okay, so this whole process, it is not a walk in the park. It's more like a high-stakes adventure. It's packed with these massive decisions. Every single move a company makes onto the world stage is this delicate balancing act, juggling risk, reward, and just how much control they're willing to give up. All right, first thing is first, why even go through all the trouble? What is this call to adventure that pulls a company beyond its own backyard? As it turns out, the reasons are, well, they're pretty compelling. And here's the core logic, right? We're talking about some serious advantages. You can get materials for cheaper, you can find way less expensive ways to operate, and of course, there's the big one, expanding into totally new markets full of new customers. When you scale up like that, you get what's called economies of scale. Basically, you get more efficient, and your profit margins get a nice boost. And hey, it can even breathe new life into an older product by introducing it to a whole new audience. But, it's not just about what a company wants. It's also about what the world makes possible. There are these huge forces pushing everything in a global direction. As some parts of the world get more prosperous, people there start wanting more foreign stuff. Plus, you've got big players like the World Trade Organization, the WTO, knocking down a lot of the old trade barriers. And then there's the tech. Things like container shipping and, obviously, the internet have made moving goods and information around the planet insanely fast and cheap compared to how it used to be. Okay, so the decision is made. The company's gonna do it. But how do they even start? Well, it's definitely not an all or nothing kind of deal. A really good way to think about it is like a ladder. Each rung you climb is a bigger and bigger commitment to that international market. Let's check out the steps on this ladder. So here it is, the typical path most companies take. You might start at the bottom rung with something pretty low risk, like licensing or franchising. From there, you could move up to just exporting your finished stuff. Then maybe you set up a local sales team. A bigger step is local assembly, and you keep climbing, maybe to a joint venture, all the way to the top, full-blown local production, building your own factories overseas. Each step up means more investment, but also more control and hopefully more profit. So what's the catch? It's all about the trade-off, right? Look at the two extremes. With licensing, you barely need any cash up front, and you get to lean on a local partner who knows the ropes. But the flip side is, you have almost no control over your product, and you only get a tiny piece of the profits. Now, jump to the other end, full local production. Here, you're the boss. You've got total control, but you're all in. We're talking huge investment and a ton of risk if things go south. Now, those middle rungs of the ladder, that's where partnerships come in. Exporting is a super common way to start. But you can get hammered by tariffs, and you're really counting on your partner to do a good job. A joint venture is a bit different. You're sharing the risk, but also the investment and the reward. For some countries with really strict rules, a joint venture is basically the only way you're getting in the door. So let's say a company has made it. They're in a few different markets. Now comes the next big puzzle. How do you structure the whole thing? How do you build this international machine that can actually work smoothly across totally different countries and cultures? Basically, there are four main blueprints for how to do this. You've got the international model, where headquarters back home calls all the shots. Then there's the multinational model, which is more like a family of loosely connected independent companies in different regions. And then you have the global company. Think Coca-Cola. They see the entire planet as just one single market, and they organize everything to serve that one market as efficiently as they can. The national model, by the way, is really just a home-based company that exports. And that structure you pick, it has a massive effect on your supply chain, how you actually make and move your stuff. Do you just outsource the whole shebang to a local company, or do you make everything in one place and ship it out? You could source your materials from all over the world, but build the final product centrally. There's also this really smart strategy called postponement, where you ship products that are almost done and then let local teams add the final touches to match what local customers want. Now, all of this, it sounds pretty straightforward on paper, right? But the real world of global business is, well, it's messy. It's like a giant obstacle course, and it's filled with all sorts of barriers that managers have to deal with literally every single day. A good way to think about these challenges is to break them into three big buckets. First, you've got physical barriers. We're talking actual borders, customs, even geography, like mountains and oceans. Then you have technical barriers. This is stuff like different product standards, clashing infrastructure, or bad communication networks. And finally, fiscal barriers, all the money headaches, taxes, tariffs, and currencies that bounce around all over the place. So let's just run through a few of these real quick. First up, political and legal systems. I mean, think about it. A way of doing business that's totally normal in one country could be flat out illegal right next door. You're trying to figure out labor laws, advertising rules, and they're different everywhere you go. It is a total legal minefield. Okay, next, infrastructure and technology. It's so easy for us to take things like a good port, smooth roads, or fast internet for granted. But imagine trying to run a business where the roads are terrible and the internet cuts out all the time. Just getting your products or even your data from point A to point B becomes this huge, frustrating challenge. And then, of course, there's the people part of it, the social and cultural systems. You've got different languages, different customs, even totally different ways of doing something as simple as negotiating a deal. All that can lead to some serious misunderstandings. And that kind of cultural friction, it can really slow things down or even wreck important business relationships if you're not super careful. And don't even get me started on the money side of things. Finance is a massive hurdle. Exchange rates can swing like crazy, literally overnight, and just wipe out your profits. Some banking systems are clunky and slow. And the tax laws, wow, they can be so complicated that they create this mountain of paperwork. And finally, let's talk about something that sounds small but is a huge pain: customs and paperwork. Seriously, you hear these horror stories all the time. A massive shipment of goods stuck at the border for days just because of one little typo on a form. It's wild how the tiniest details can cause the biggest headaches. You know, this quote here really nails it. International trade inevitably means international companies. It's so true. This whole global trade thing doesn't just happen by magic. It needs real people with real strategies and entire organizations working on the ground to make it happen. Trade is the engine, and these international companies are what it builds. So let's leave it with this final thought. We always hear that the world is getting smaller, right? More connected. But does that really mean all these barriers we've talked about are just vanishing? Or maybe are they just changing shape, evolving into new, maybe even trickier challenges for the next wave of global companies to figure out? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.